Rapists, liars, cheaters, get ready because the doors to the Hall of Fame are now open. Is Rafael Devers staying in Boston? Is Aaron Judge on his way to the Yankees Mount Rushmore? All that and more on this week's episode of Closers. What is going on, everybody? Your boy, the Greek, is here, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Rob Manfred is making terrible decisions, so let's just get into it. Let's bring in old Chrome Dome, Mr. 69, David Ardsma. What's up, DA?
You know, there are soft opens and there are hard opens. That was a slap you in the face open, James.
I was actually trying to bring in my friends, Romans, countrymen kind of vibe.
How did I do? That was a little slappier. A little bit more.
Well, what did I say that was wrong? Please.
Nothing was wrong.
Okay.
Nothing was wrong.
So let's start with said rapists and cheaters and liars. Dude, what was Manfred thinking? Reinstating Pete Rose. He had a lifetime ban. He was on the permanently ineligible list. So let me read what Mr. Rob Manfred had to say. Obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game, Manfred wrote in a letter to Attorney General F. Menlenkoff, who petitioned for Rose's removal from the list January 8th. Moreover, it is hard to conceive of a penalty that has more deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. Therefore, I have concluded that permanent ineligibility ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual, and Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. But here's the problem. Permanently ineligible and lifetime mean two different things. Permanent is something from the beginning to the end of time, not lifetime. David, please give me your thoughts.
The thoughts on this, man, I have so many different thoughts on it. And I think my thoughts sometimes get convoluted between what Rob Manfred did and Hall of Fame. And sometimes I get caught in between and I think they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. They're not. Reading his ban in baseball, it did say lifetime ban. It should have been a lifetime ban. The moment he dies that day, it's lifted.
But he was on the permanently ineligible list.
But that to me sometimes is a name versus what the ban was. The ban was meant to be a lifetime ban. And permanently ineligible means like you're permanently, once you can't play anymore, you're no longer ineligible, you can't play, like it's done, it's over. Like the ineligibility of Pete Rose should be done. So I have a weird statement on this. I am completely against it. I don't think Rob Manfred should have ever done it. I don't have to like it, but I can understand why he did it. I understand the lifetime ban. He's dead, it's over. I don't understand why so many different commissioners though thought completely opposite of this. So many different commissioners, especially since Shoeless Joe, Joe Jackson and that whole, the Black Sox scandal were all lifetime bans as well. And they never, no commissioner of baseball ever felt differently until Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred, obviously a lot of press, a lot of push, a lot of pressure. There's been more pressure now than ever to reinstate Pete Rose. A little less on Joe Jackson. I don't think there's a whole lot of people out there fighting for Joe Jackson, but the Pete Rose controversy has been pushed so much by social media. Obviously, his family's been pushing hard. The Reds started to be pushing hard, and I think I think it had a lot more to do with a push from Major League Baseball to try to get some publicity, try to get some notoriety, something in the middle of the season. Season's going great, but to get something will fire it up. I'm amazed this didn't happen like in the offseason, just to get some more attention to Major League Baseball. I don't have to like it. I don't agree with it. At the same time, I do need to separate Hall of Fame versus the ban. I do not think he should ever walk down the hall, like have his moment to shine in the Hall of Fame. Lifetime ban. It's just sad.
Okay, so here's the deal. First of all, I don't think this had anything to do with getting a little bit of notoriety for Major League Baseball. I think there's only one person to blame for this debacle, and his name is Donald Trump. Okay, you and I both know that Donald Trump is the type of person that will be petty and put something over your head. Are you telling me that the words antitrust didn't have anything to do in the conversation that Manfred had?
Never even brought up. I guarantee you this is exactly what happens with Donald Trump. He says something, hey, like I don't think he should be banned. There was so much pressure to begin with, and he goes, hey, I don't think he should be banned. And then it gets taken into become a big monster deal. Manfred wanted to. Manfred has tried extremely hard. No. He has tried extremely hard to get him in the Hall of Fame. He tried extremely hard in 2015. He gave Pete Rose every single crumb on the ground, laid it out for him to get reinstated. He laid out the entire groundwork and said, just say sorry, admit, say sorry, and say I gambled. And he laid it out, and Pete Rose still lied. So there was no reason Rob Manfred should have ever had that meeting with Pete Rose. It was uncalled for, wasn't needed. Rob Manfred is a Pete Rose wanting to get him reinstated guy. He has been from the moment he took office. That was one of his first things he did was meet with Pete Rose. He's been wanting to get him reinstated since the moment he became commissioner. And this is the first thing he had to actually be able to do it because Pete Rose completely failed when he was alive. Failed miserably and lied to Manfred's face. And when he lied to Manfred's face, Manfred had to keep him banned. Manfred wanted him reinstated. Let's not forget that. Let's stop. If we take all the other pressure away from this, Manfred is basically the first thing he did was meet with Pete Rose. So let's stop. He's a Pete Rose reinstatement guy. And then when you read every single comment about this, it's lifetime ban. It was a lifetime ban. Well, he's alive. There's nothing he can do. Just because the president is a Pete Rose also reinstated guy had nothing to do with it. The family is a Pete Rose. It had nothing to do with too that the Reds today was honoring Pete Rose. Oh, that just randomly happened. So they just were going to allow that to happen without the commissioner of the league, without already having something planned. He had already just randomly. The Reds are having a Pete Rose day. The day before, a couple days before, Manfred just got pressure from the president, so he bent. No, that was planned months and months and months ago. This has been planned. The moment he died, he knew this was walking up. This was happening. And it didn't matter who said, if Donald Trump said, don't ever do it, he would have still done it. It doesn't matter. And I guarantee you, there's nothing to do with antitrust. Nothing to do with it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It had straight up to do with Rob Manfred's always wanted him reinstated. The family put pressure on him. The Reds put pressure on him. I guarantee you there's so much pressure from every single gambling site that is investing in Major League Baseball that is real pressure. And it was happening no matter what, no matter who was going to happen. And it doesn't just randomly happen right before you're already having a Pete Rose day.
When the president pardons you and basically tells the commissioner, hey, I want him to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, that's what ended up happening.
No, it was already done. Okay. It was already done.
We can agree to disagree. We'll never know the truth.
It was so far past that it was already done. It was going to happen no matter what. And whether there's pressure from Trump or not, it was going to happen. Right. And because Manfred has been made this a big point of his entire thing. You don't meet with Pete Rose like the first year of you taking over the job and basically say, all right, just admit and say you're sorry. And Pete Rose said, no, fuck you. That's it. Okay. That's what happened. So he's nudging him. It's like Major League Baseball when they went to steroid testing and they were testing everybody and they're like, guys, next year, if you don't pass the test, we're going to have testing. And guys are still idiots and still took steroids.
So what's
worse? They told them it was going to happen. And Pete Rose is still the idiot.
So what's worse? Is it worse to be pressured by the president, if that happened, or is it worse having Pete Rose basically, like you said, say, fuck you, I'm going to do it my way anyway, and then caving? What looks worse?
It's worse. The first one's worse. He's still caving. To me, that's the thing about it. He's wanted nothing more than to get him and reinstated, and he's stating it. And every single basically thing he did was a statement saying, "Cool, now he's dead. I can do this." Well, and that's the thing about it. Is when you're he's been a Pete Rose guy the whole time, and now he had an opportunity to be a Pete Rose guy. That's all he did.
I've never been more disappointed and more dismayed with Major League Baseball after this decision. I think
though, it doesn't mean anything with Major League. It doesn't mean anything with Cooperstown. This doesn't mean anything outside of they can have a conversation.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just pissed off with Major League Baseball taking him off the permanently ineligible list because it's stupid. There was no reason for it. The guy was a liar. He was a cheat, and he doesn't deserve anything. He deserves his spot in hell where he is right now.
It's statutory rape. Let's not forget about that.
And that's what I want to say next is, and for you people that sit there and say, oh, he should be in the Hall of Fame, then I guess you have no problem that OJ's in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose raped a girl under the age of 16 when he was 30 and had 2 children. Okay? So for you guys that are sitting there saying, oh, he should be in the Hall of Fame, take a good look in the mirror, because what you're saying is it's more important to be a good baseball player than to be a good human being. And that is absurd to me. So all you voters, take a look in the mirror and you decide. Now, on the flip side, the guy that we haven't spoken about nearly enough is Shoeless Joe Jackson. He was reinstated. But my question is, does he belong in the Hall? Because I was looking at his numbers, and it's not exactly like he's got these stellar numbers. He was in the league for 13 years. He had only 54 home runs. Granted, completely different era. I understand that. But, you know, he did bat .356, fantastic. Had an OPS lifetime of 940, amazing. All that stuff is really good. But you look at RBI, 792, stolen bases, 202, 1,772 hits. And it's not like he had a short career. He had a pretty long career. So my question to you right now, David, is Shoeless Joe Jackson a Hall of Fame player?
I'll just throw this out there. Todd Helton, Hall of Fame player.
Yes.
He had more WAR. Dennis Eckersley, more. I'm trying to go with some of these guys. Again, I'm not like sit here live on WAR for my whole life, but Harmon Killebrew. We were talking about him last week, right?
Yeah.
Ichiro. He's a higher than Ichiro. Yogi Berra, higher than Yogi Berra, right? Vladdy, like Piazza. And so when you start getting down the list now, again, there's guys also not in the Hall of Fame that are above him. Right. As well, and some guys that are like even Freddie Freeman, Andrew Jones, CC now is in, but he's just above him by like 0.1. So if you go down to that point, yes, there's some. He had MVP 4, MVP 9, MVP 2, MVP 5. Obviously, the Black Sox scandal kind of like killed him, but he had a career batting average of 356, a 940 career OPS, which is pretty damn good in any era of baseball, with only 54 home runs. That's pretty amazing. Was not an RBI machine, at 90 and 121 one year. God, he had 121 with 20 20 triples and hit 382 his last year of his career.
That guy was a great baseball player, no question. I'm looking at the numbers. He doesn't have the gaudy numbers, but yes, the WAR is correct. But it's so hard for us to judge guys in the 1900s because they just don't have that stuff. So that's really the reason I asked you. If I was going to, vote, I would put him in the Hall of Fame. I think he was that good of a player, and I think he got robbed of at least 6 or 7 years of his prime. He's the kind of player that could have played 20 years. I mean,
and he still won the 17 World Series, and obviously his teammates threw the 19. Which that's the thing about it is, and when you go to him, we know the story. He took the money, but he still had like something like he still hit something ridiculous in
370 or something.
Yeah, 370 in the World Series. Like he by far did not throw it. But again, you take the money. And some of these people were found guilty because they knew other guys were doing it. And it just, when you get to like like some of the numbers, like it's pretty amazing what he did against his competition. To me, he's a Hall of Famer if he's there, like if he has an opportunity and actually have a chance.
Yeah.
The betting on it, to me, like it doesn't matter. Like you took the money. No matter what pressure was going on, you took the money. You didn't say, hey, my teammates are taking the money. There's other problems there that just, to me, I can't get past.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I will give him a little bit of a pass for taking the money based on the way baseball was set up at the time where, you couldn't leave the team. There was no free agency and the White Sox weren't paying anybody and they were notorious for being terrible to their players. So I can kind of understand because it was in a way indentured servitude. If you wanted to play, you were playing for that team or you weren't playing at all.
Yeah.
So
there's no line for me if you took money, if you gambled, if you did anything to question the gambling side of the game. There's no line for me. Like it's over. Like
I know. When there's no union and you're basically used and you can't do anything, there's no way for you to make more money, even when you are that great.
And that's a sacrifice you make.
Yeah, I understand. Listen, like I said, that's the only reason why I'm willing to give him a pass. But if he was cleared, I mean, I'd put him in 10 times before I even consider putting in Pete Rose. That's just me.
100%.
Yeah. So for you people that want Pete Rose, look yourself in the mirror and try to remember, are you a good human being or not? Because that's what we're talking about, whether or not you want a good human being in or out of the hall, because he's not a good human being, never was, never will be. And right now he's probably waiting for Lenny Dykstra to come down there and be his roommate in hell. So,
did you know this is crazy? He only played in 2 postseasons.
Who's that? Pete Rose?
No, Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe?
Joe Jackson hit 375 with a 950 OPS, 6 RBIs, 1 home run, 3 doubles. I guess they only played the World Series back then, so I guess he only played in 2 World Series.
Yeah, you just win the pennant. That's it. There was no wild card. There was no division.
He had a much better World Series than he even had in 2017 when they won the World Series. Yep. So, and they lost, by the way, 3-5 in the World Series, in case you were wondering.
I actually knew that. All right. Let's move on because it was announced the other day that Mr. Paul Skenes is going to be pitching for the WBC. What was your immediate thought when you heard that?
God, no. Don't do this. God, for the love of your arm, God, no. I love that people want to represent Team USA. I love that the WBC. I love every single thing about it, except for when it's played and the injury rate to pitchers. To me, this is I hope he's King Kong Superman and can never have an arm injury because of this. Track record's not great.
More so than that, it's not like he's on a team like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers that's ready to sign him to that long-term $300 million a year extension. He's on the Pirates. He's not getting any money until he goes free agency unless they trade him. So why risk injury knowing that you're not getting paid until you go free agent? Stupid move if you're Paul Skenes. I don't understand it.
Pressure from Team USA wanting to do it, thinking you can because you're young, and it's so hard. If Major League Baseball had told me to go for it, but again, I'm a reliever, I would have been fine. I'm ready to go day 1 of spring training anyways. As a starter, there just hasn't been that great track record. To me, that's the only way I look at it, is that arm injury and that chance. There's so many players have walked out of this World Baseball Classic not in the right spot as far as from a pitcher standpoint. I hope it doesn't happen. Paul, I hope it doesn't happen.
Paul,
but he'll probably be on that mound just dealing.
You better pray you get traded. You better pray. You should look up to the heavens and say, Mickey Mantle, please get me traded from Pittsburgh to a team that will pay me, because it's not going to happen. I worry about Paul Skenes financial future. I worry about the Pirates and what their franchise is going to be, because they're going to screw this up so badly. It's not even funny.
God, it's so bad. It's so scary because sign this dude. But if I'm the Pirates now, like he's doing this, I'm not going to sign him. I'm not going to sign him. I'm going to wait. I have to wait because I'm looking at this and I'm having a real conversation with them saying, we got to prep you. We got to get this ready. Maybe after the World Baseball Classic, we pump the brakes or something. Like we end your season early or something. Maybe even this year you end the season early. So next year you can start it earlier. There should be a lot of these deep conversations saying, Paul, you're going to be getting ready in February at a point where you should be in April. And so that like there needs to be a different in conversation in how we look at pitching. And some of these guys that want to go do the World Baseball Classic, if you're not in a contender right now, shut them down maybe in September. I know it's crazy. I know I'm saying crazy stuff out there.
Yeah.
But maybe shut them down in September so you can start them up a month earlier in the offseason. But there has to be some sort of an adjustment period that we have not done yet.
No, this is bad. And he's probably just sitting there. He's like, oh, I'm young. I could pitch more. And don't worry, Livy will give me a rub down and I'll be fine.
Oh, my God. Do you watch those videos of them too?
I don't.
It is so funny. She's like so bubbly and oh my God, Paul and all this stuff. And he's just like
paint drying.
Oh, he is like paint dry. And it's like almost like a frat boy like this with a girlfriend that's bubbly and all this. Oh, he's so great and wonderful. And he's like, yeah. And it's what?
I like playing baseball.
He's like,
it's very fun.
It's we make TikToks together. We do this and we cook and do this. And he goes, yeah.
Yes, we cook.
Yeah.
It's actually,
and he's just sitting there having a beer. He's like, grab that. And he's like, all right. That's him cooking.
To a certain extent, it's kind of like you and your wife, except reverse, where you're the bubbly, happy one, and your wife is like, David, do it or I'll freaking kill you.
Not quite like
that. All right. Another player who's going to want to be in the WBC, who just landed on the injured list, Mr. Roki Sasaki of the Dodgers. Dude, tell me what because somebody told me that this is going to happen. So
can we go back to the tape? Can we pull up the receipts?
No, we don't have a good enough producer to record all that stuff and have it ready. And quite frankly, we have a crappy host who doesn't think of these things. So I take full credit. But yeah, somebody called it, said he's going to have arm problems. And yeah, he's got some arm problems now. David, tell us, what do you think?
What do I think? I think the Dodgers have 15 current players on the IL. I think the Dodgers have, and that's counting like Shohei. So let's throw that down to 14. Right. I think the Dodgers have done an incredibly horrible job at pitching and keeping these guys healthy. They can get them to the big leagues really quick and with some of the best stuff in baseball. And then it all fades very fast once you get up there. I don't know what it is. I don't know why with the Dodgers, but at some point, and I am doing my own study right now. I'm going through all the top prospects in their system from 2018 forward and looking at their arm history and what they've done and see if there's any sort of correlation there, because it can't be good. They are blowing numbers out of the water compared to other teams and Major League Baseball averages. So like when you look at injuries in Major League Baseball right now, it's just the Dodgers. Like the Dodgers are so much higher than anybody else. They have an entire pitching staff and 3 guys on the IL. And that's horrible. That's not right. There's a problem here. But Roki Sasaki, obviously young, incredible talent from Japan coming over. There's so many issues here. One, baseballs are different. The pitching on a 5-day rotation is different. The amount of workload expected is different. How you prepare is a lot different than you do in Japan. And then that gets into the delivery and everything. I said it on here, and I said it very loudly, very clearly. I don't like his delivery. I don't like the rotation of his shoulders, how hard he rotates. A whole lot of pitching gurus and guys are teaching that these days because we saw it in Ohtani. We're seeing it in Sasaki. We're seeing it in this whole new crop of young players that can throw really hard, throw sweepers nonstop, and they keep getting hurt. And we keep wondering why. And we keep blaming velocity, but we're not looking at the deliveries of a lot of these guys and how they're being taught their deliveries. And I did not like it from the moment I looked at it. I didn't like Ohtani's from the moment I looked at it. And he's 2 Tommy Johns in, and Roki Sasaki is 25, 20, I don't even know, something, young 20s, and is already going on for a shoulder impingement. And that's what the list is on the IL, which means just shoulder injury. Just let
23 for Sasaki, by the way.
23. 8 starts into his major league career. 8 starts into his American baseball career, and he's already on the IL with a shoulder impingement. It's not good, and it's not good for the Dodgers. And again, no one's going to talk about the Dodgers in this. And again, and this might have nothing to do. It might all be coincidence. But 15 guys in the IL to call 14. You know what? And I even want to. I'll take Clayton Kershaw off of this.
Yeah.
Let's call it 13 or 12. Let's
Right.
take even a couple guys off. But the numbers, you at some point, it has to slap you in the face and say, there is something wrong here that the Dodgers are doing.
Yeah. And, we were talking about how they added all those pitchers and there was no rush for Ohtani to come back, and they got Sasaki. Now they're talking about having to rush back Kershaw, maybe now rushing back Ohtani, which I hope they don't do. I hope they're smart enough to realize. Let me ask you this. Does a guy like Shohei Ohtani have enough stroke? And I know it's difficult for you to say this, but does he have enough stroke to say, listen, pitching development guys with the Dodgers, I've gotten myself to this point. Can you just let me do my thing? I know my body. I know what you want, but this is how I work. Does
stroke? I've never heard of that term used in this way, but enough power to basically say that.
Yeah. Does a player like that have that? Can you do that?
Absolutely, everybody can.
Okay.
Everybody can. I mean, they're all going to feel pressure in different ways, though. And Ohtani is a team kind of player.
Yeah.
So Ohtani's going to try to come back faster, even without the team telling him or asking him to. But a lot of times, like that whole come back faster, like he should be back. He should. There's something they didn't tell us. He should be back. Like should have been back a while ago. And this is already taking too long. He had surgery in September of 23. It's 25, and we're almost in June.
Right. But I do believe that they had this planned out so that, like we talked about last week, I really do believe that
in the World Series.
Yeah.
If you're throwing bullpens, you're almost ready.
Right. But when you're coming off an injury, there's usually an innings limit, correct? So they're just waiting until he could have his. They didn't want to shut him down before the playoffs. Let's say he started
baseball.
Game 1.
They don't. The way the innings limit, when they do that, you just take him out at 4 innings at a game. You get him on the mound. Like he needs to be pitching. I think they screwed up thinking they had so much pitching that they slow played him.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and
I don't think that's a rehab thing. And I don't think then it's like hurried him up, or I guess we might be saying the same thing, but I think that was the Dodgers just sitting there going, "Oh, you're good. Like just pump the brakes. Like we signed everybody. You're good." I think that's the Dodgers knowing that he's not going to be healthy for the long term and don't want to lose him to another arm injury. So they said, "All right, we'll keep your bat." Right. And I think the Dodgers, without telling anybody, had decided probably internally that they don't need him on the mound. Probably. They weren't going to tell us this.
Yeah.
We don't need him on the mound. So slow play yourself. But again, he does the same thing Roki Sasaki does. He's just bigger. And so he moves down the mound a little bit more, but he rotates his shoulders so hard. Someone tried to teach my son that. I said, stop. No, I go, don't. I go, no. He goes, that's what everyone's teaching. Like you turn your shoulders, replace your front shoulder with your back shoulder, or replace the back shoulder, like rotate so hard. And I go, no. I go, please don't ever coach that to my son. Like, don't. Like, This is not good, and it's not sustainable. And we're watching these big league guys get hurt so quickly, so often. And the guy will want to imitate is double Tommy John now.
Yeah.
It's like Joyce with the Angels. Just he has the arm. He's got arm problems now. Again, going back on the IL. He's had 2 Tommy Johns. He had one before. He had one in the big leagues or minor leagues. And we all looking at him going, "Oh my God, this is amazing." His delivery sucks. It's always sucked. The arm up really high in the back. Key, like number one big sign for arm problem. And we keep praising this guy. And then we go, "Oh, I don't know why guys keep getting hurt. It must be velocity." No, it's how you get velocity.
Yep.
Which leads me to Top Velocity Pro.
No,
get
I'm
your
not
correct
done.
velocity. Learn how to do this. Get it right. Top Velocity Pro. Don't be Roki Sasaki with that hard rotation. Come to Top Velocity Pro. Learn how to use your body right. Don't be Joyce. He throws really hard, and he won't be playing in the big leagues. Don't do that. Learn how to do it right. Let's get correct, honest, using your body, and let's go. Top Velocity Pro.
Number 1, that was my job. And number 2, I wasn't done with Roki Sasaki. I had one more question for you, Mr. Pitching Guru.
Yes, let's go.
All right, one quick question about Roki Sasaki. I got to see a lot of Roki Sasaki so far this year. I think I caught like 4 of his starts. Do you believe that he's a starter?
Yes, he's a starter.
I think he's a reliever.
I think he's a 23-year-old kid learning the big leagues. He's got good stuff. He's still a starter. I just don't believe his delivery is built for long-term success without injuries. And that's the only thing is he's still 23. He's been so good. You got to give him a little time. Anybody else they would be in the minor leagues still pitching. He's just thrown into the big leagues because he signed from Japan. Anybody else anywhere, he'd still be in the minor leagues learning his craft. Now he's in the big leagues doing it.
I just see his approach. I see how many pitches he is throwing. And I just think he's more likely to be a reliever later on because of his velocity and for many other reasons. Just my personal view, but I'm glad that I got to ask it. All right. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of the show, I did want to talk about this whole Rafael Devers situation. It's a little old now, but I had some ideas on possible trades because they're saying that it's not impossible for Rafael Devers to get traded. I think it's very unlikely because of the money that is still owed to him. There's a lot of money that's still owed to him. So anybody that picks up Devers right now, I think based on his attitude and people around the game saying, oh, he might not be a great teammate, I think anybody who wants Devers is going to have to pick up some of that cash. So I'm going to give you 5 trade proposals, and you tell me if I'm stupid or I'm smart. Trade proposal number 1. Devers to the New York Mets for Beatty, a prospect, and cash.
So the Mets for Beatty. Interesting. Is this so? Would you want this if you were the New York Mets? You got Mark Vientos right now. Listed as a DH, but he's third base.
No,
right?
Vientos is our third baseman, so you would be putting Devers.
Beatty right now is listed as your third baseman.
Well,
maybe it's because of Vientos' glove until his glove gets fixed.
Well, yes.
But it looks good. Yeah, it looks really good, but the ball went straight through. And then he stayed in the game with the same glove.
I don't think he even
How do you
realized
do that?
It.
How
I
do
don't
you
think
not
he realized it.
What'd you say?
Maybe someone fixed the webbing while he was on the bench or something.
I don't think what I was reading is I don't think he got a new glove. He stayed out on the field with the glove that the ball went straight through.
Now, the only reason, getting back to this, the only reason why I think that it might work with the Mets is Rafael Devers is Hispanic. I don't know if he has any friends on that team. You know, the Latin players tend to know the Latin players. Black players tend to know the black players. It's always been that way. So that's the only question I have. Does he know any of those guys and he can affect that clubhouse? So I'm not sure.
If I'm the Mets, I'd do it. I don't know if they want to take on that money for losing the prospect, and Beatty's still only a year in.
Well, they're going to have to. The Red Sox would have to give some cash, like $100 million.
Would have to. Again, if you had to do it, if I'm there if I'm the Mets, I do it.
Okay. Next, here's one that people have been really talking about. So I have a proposal. Devers to Philly for Alec Boehm, Orion Kerkering, and Cash.
I do that if I'm the Phillies without even thinking about it.
Okay.
I do that. The only problem is then you get into a tricky spot where you need the worst fielding third baseman in the league to field at third base, because he's not taking over Schwarber, and he's not going to take over for when Castellanos needs a DH or day off or something, or Bryce Harper needs a day to DH. That's the problem is then you're replacing Alec Boehm with the worst fielding third baseman in baseball.
Yep.
I don't want that defense to get worse.
All right. Devers, this one's a little out there. Devers to the Chicago White Sox for Lewis Robert and
the
Cash.
Entire minor league of the White Sox.
No, Lewis Robert and Cash.
I'm not doing it if I'm the Red Sox. From the White Sox, I don't even. Let's go. White Sox are hell yeah. Luis Roberts, to me, Luis Roberts has so little value. I know, like the dude's hitting 190.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of him. He's 5 years into the big leagues, and he's gotten worse every time. I get it, he's on a bad team right now. Like, if Rafael Devers is making $30 million, the White Sox are gonna probably have to pay him like 500 of that. Like, there's so much. You're not getting anything. Oh, sorry. No, I mean the other way around. Like, the White Sox would have to take on like the whole contract because you're not getting anything back for a guy who is hitting currently, like Devers in his last 7 is hitting 444.
But if you're the White Sox, now you have a face of the franchise, and you have a guy that other free agents
you'd have to give up a lot more. That's what I'm saying. I was like, you're gonna have. They're not the Red Sox are not giving cash on that trade. You're giving nothing for a all-star.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There has to. They would have to give Luis Roberts Jr. and then you're going down that
some
prospect
prospects,
list and picking a couple.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one. Basically, it would be Devers and Cash and some minor league for Matt Shaw with the Cubs.
Ooh. That's an interesting one because right now the Cubs aren't doing anything with Shaw. He's sitting there waiting. Cubs are playing great baseball. He's the third baseman, right? And you got John Birdie, right now playing third base. I still don't understand the whole thing why he's not just sitting in the big leagues, just playing every single day.
Right.
Cubs. If I'm the Cubs, I do it. I think this pops me over the hump, but it might have to be like a 1-for-1.
Yeah. And finally,
I'm so bad on these trades. You're better than me on trades.
Here's my last one, and this one you're going to be like, you're an idiot, but I have a thought process on this.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers for Mike Trout. Money matches up. The Red Sox are in a position to win now. You might be able to squeeze out a couple of seasons of Trout, and all of a sudden, the Angels have a young player with almost the same money as Mike Trout that they can rebuild with.
So right now, Rafaela is in center field. Obviously, Duran, who can't play out there and all that stuff. Are you going to put Trout at DH?
Yeah, DH and first. I can see the
He's causing enough of a trouble in that clubhouse. I do it if I'm the Red Sox. The only problem is, like, I don't know if he's actually causing problems in the clubhouse. I think he's causing problems for the front office and the coaching staff. That's who he's pissing off. I don't know if man for man, the 26 in that locker room is actually all that mad at him. They're probably disappointed at the end of the day if he's crushing the ball. And probably a lot of them are like, hey, Rafi, like, we got your back. They've asked you to switch, and then they'll ask you to switch again. And they didn't tell you to switch the first time. They just like showed up. Hey, by the way, we signed a third baseman. You're now DH. Yeah. I think probably a lot of the players are like, kind of like, F you, Craig Breslow. And so I think a lot of players probably have his back, and they're like, dude, like, we're good, Rafi. Like, you're good with us because of how they treated you. And that's my biggest problem with this whole thing. I want to hate Rafi Devers, and I'm still sitting here saying, be a goddamn teammate. Step up. Like, Usually your ball player. They don't have to tell you and hold your hand your whole career. You didn't sign the contract with Craig Breslow. At the same time, you should honor it and respect it. And he's a Major League Baseball player and he's your best baseball player. You should have had all of these conversations beforehand.
Yeah.
But they didn't. That doesn't, but that's still, just because they didn't, that doesn't give you the right to be a dick.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Just because they didn't treat you with respect doesn't mean you're a dick back and a dick to 26 other dudes. And when man down, you don't step up. Like the 2004 Red Sox, with everything they went to and all their whole like rah, the next man up, that kind of deal. It doesn't matter what would have happened. They're like, done. Like David Ortiz, first base, done. Like he wouldn't even thought about it. There's so many other problems with this too. The fact that they weren't preparing him for any other position, like they should have told him, hey, if something happens, we're still going to need you. And these two positions are probably it. You've played center field before, but we can get you into these other positions. Third base, first base, like we might need you at some point. Just take reps. I don't even know if they were doing that.
Yeah.
For as smart as Craig Breslow is,
he acted pretty stupid.
Something has been missed on this. And again, that's the hard part of the job. You are no longer, a lot of people think the GM's the analytics guy. He's not. He's the people person. He's the guy that goes through and makes sure everybody's on track. Everybody's getting talked to. The communication is clear across the whole board. He's the manager of it all. And then he makes the other people are the analytics nerds. He needs to understand the analytics and get away from it and go talk to the players every day. Go make sure they're communicating. Make sure you have to be 2 steps ahead of everybody. That doesn't mean you're understanding. You're sitting there diving into the numbers. The numbers guy dives into the numbers and puts his head in the computer for 2 weeks. You have to go through and walk and talk and make sure the manager's on page every single day. The pitching coach, the players, the pitchers, everybody's prepping. Hey, have you talked to Rafi in case of an injury? Is he prepping for first base? Is he okay with that? He's not okay? Let's talk. Oh, by the way, Chris and Cassis went down. We don't even bring it up to him. We bring somebody up or we bring somebody else into first base. So none of these things happen. So when the media says Rafi Devers plays first base, no. Our plan is to this. We told Rafi to be a DH. That's what he's going to do. That's on us. We got this guy to cover first base. They didn't do any of that. That's what a great GM does, and that's why some of these GMs you stick around forever. They're so many steps ahead of time. Like you've only seen Brian Cashman start to break a little bit every now and then. Like you see cracks with Brian Cashman, but immediately gets cemented over and repainted, and then all of a sudden he has all the right answers. Mm-hmm. Oh, Stanton goes down. Dude, we haven't heard a word about that.
Nope.
You didn't hear, oh my God, the world's falling apart. He's like, we got it. We're prepped. Yeah. Like you get an injury here. You see Cabrera, right? Break his leg. Or Trevino? No, who was it?
It was Walter Cabrera.
Cabrera breaks his leg and ankle in half. You're like, we got it. Like next man up, but we're ready and prepared. And that's why like a Billy Beane kind of like just keeps like going, because they'll always have the answer for all the problems. Billy Beane might have there might be other issues there, but
right. I'm just really shocked that this has gotten to the point where it has with all these potential clubhouse problems when you have probably the nicest, best communicator as a manager. I find that interesting.
Sometimes you have there's holes without you even ever realizing there's holes. And again, they're always handcuffed to whatever they can tell a player by what the front office wants you to be able to communicate.
Correct. Crap situation. Yeah. And of course I have a whole bunch of Devers cards that I was hoping to sell.
It'll be good. He'll be, again, the dude also crushes, and like it doesn't take long to love. Like he hits a giant walk-off home run against the Yankees in a playoff game, and all of a sudden he's the biggest hero in the world.
Yeah, and if you want said cards, all you got to do is go to eBay and look up J&J sports cards, sports cards with a Z, and we'll put a link in the description. So yeah, feel free to go buy some stuff, because it is not cheap running this show. I need some money. Finally, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually have to admit that I'm wrong.
You're always wrong.
The hell with you.
You just don't admit it.
Shut up. What kind of friend are you? Anyway.
Honest friend.
When Aaron Judge and the Yankees signed that deal, I thought that was a mistake. I really did, because of the amount of injuries that Judge had early in his career. I didn't think that a guy that big would be able to sustain this kind of excellence for this long without his body breaking down. And boy, was I wrong. But what he's doing right now is magical. I was looking up the numbers between this season and Barry Bonds' 2001 season in his first 42 games. The numbers are sick. With the exception of the home runs, they're almost identical. So you have Bonds in 2001, 24 home runs, 45 RBIs, and a 1382 OPS with a 311 average in 2001. Through 42 games this year, 14 home runs, 40 RBIs, 1268 OPS, and 410 average for Judge. Those are video game ridiculous crap numbers. And I don't know what I'd be more impressed with if Judge came back on the home run pace and ended up beating Bonds' home run record, or hitting 400. What would impress you more?
400. Well, no, the home runs. Sorry, the home runs, because that's 24. Are you right about this?
Yeah, I did the math.
24 at this point in the season?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Yeah, he had 28 by the end of May.
Yeah.
That's just like, oh my God.
I triple checked it, because when I saw 24, I'm like, that's not possible. But he did it.
Those are incredible. The 400, to me, in this day and age, 400. It does matter. 400 at this, with the way pitching is, the way hitting is, for a power hitter like him, 400.
It's absolutely insane what he's able to do. But what's more insane is the fact that anybody's pitching to him. I mean, there's going to be a Subway Series this weekend, Mets-Yankees. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go to any of the games. But if the Mets are actually pitching to him, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs. It doesn't make any sense. I understand Goldie is playing great, and I've never been so happy that I was wrong, because I was a huge Goldschmidt fan. I still am. And I just thought he was washed. I really did. But what he's doing right now is fantastic. He's hitting somewhere in the 330s, if memory serves right now. I haven't looked at his stats recently. He's not hitting the home runs that he was hitting in the past, but listen, you're hitting 330, you're cool. But yeah, let Goldie beat you. Let Ben Rice beat you. Don't throw a damn pitch to Aaron Judge.
Yeah, and then hopefully at some point Giancarlo Stanton's back, and that's going to be absolutely crazy. But yeah, Goldie hitting 346 right now with 5 home runs, which is way below his pace. But Trent Grisham is kind of one of the big stories of that team. Hitting 283 with 12 is insane, especially where he had been in the past. Mm-hmm. You know, the lineup is very top heavy. You get towards the bottom, it's a lot of really easy outs right now. There are some problems there still in that lineup, but man, they're playing great baseball. Judge, talk all the world about Judge with what he's doing, but Goldie has been great all around. Ben Rice has been very good. Obviously, Trent Grisham, like those guys are great. Bellinger still on the back still scares you. You know, you still see that. It still scares you, but he hasn't done the damage that he could. You know, even Austin Wells has 8. That's nothing to shy about. That's no joke. And then when they get Stan, if they ever do get Stan back, that's going to be a legit lineup. It just a lot of righties going to be right in the middle of that, though.
Yeah. And with all this Yankee talk, it brings us to my favorite part of the show. It's time for the New York Yankees Mount Rushmore. So this one is interesting. We had another team scheduled for today, but there was a little bit of a miscommunication, and I have no idea who is on this list today. I avoided this list like the plague because I knew that we were going to have a great debate on this one. So let's start it off. David, who is your number one?
Well, the number one's easy. The number one, he's on a short list of the actual, like, he's considered probably the greatest player of all time. And it's straight up him and Barry Bonds. And
Ohtani.
Ohtani still has a lot more to do to get here. But Babe Ruth.
George Herman Babe Ruth, the great Bambino,
The
the
Sultan of
man,
SWAT.
the Sultan of SWAT, the king of crash. Everything that you ever wanted to know about baseball, all you got to do is look up Babe Ruth, and he was the face of a century, not even for a decade, not even for a career. He is baseball.
Okay, I just gotta say this. Babe Ruth, throw him out the window. One of his nicknames is Jidge, Jidge. What does that
Yeah,
mean?
Jidge. It was like for George.
Jidge.
Yeah.
Jidg. But anyways, I clicked it, and it goes to a baseball reference page for baseball nicknames. Guess who's first?
The Aardvark?
Oh, the DA! I never even knew that existed. What?
By
right,
the way, since you bring that up real quick, I was at my job the other day, and somebody said DA, like an 18-year-old girl said DA, and we were looking around like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, it's an abbreviation. I'm like, for district attorney? And then one of the other girls that works with me, of course, who is in love with you, says for David Aardsma, apparently DA means dead ass. But yeah, they think about David Aardsma before they think about district attorneys. So yeah, way to go, DA.
There you go.
All right. Number 2 on the Yankees list. Who do we got?
Wait. A couple. I mean, do we need to talk about his numbers?
No. What do we need to say about Babe Ruth? He's the greatest player that ever lived in most people's minds.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And I mean, he's still leading in slugging, OPS plus, the ROPA, R bat plus. I don't even know what that is. R bat plus. Home run 714. A lot of people still think he's obviously number 2 to Hank Aaron. With the asterisk probably next to Barry Bonds. Incredible. Yada yada yada. Babe Ruth. Number 2. This is an incredible hard list. I put this up against anybody, but the Iron Horse Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig. I mean, what do you say about that guy? You know, he was the next face of the franchise. You know, when Ruth was getting older, it became Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse. You know, they named the disease after him, unfortunately. But yeah, what do you say about that guy, man? It was just amazing.
I don't want to say that. He was so famous, the disease he had was given his name, right? Like, that's how famous he was and how devastating it was.
Yeah.
But two-time MVP, but again, I never thought MVP was until 32. Anyways, I mean, top everything in baseball. The Iron Horse, until Cal Ripken Jr. broke his record, was one of the most untouchable records of all time in the amount of games played. Amazing. 17 seasons, and it could have been a lot longer. Just such an amazing story of how he even got his first game, and he never looked back. I love it. And we watch the videos of him. He was a dude. Like, he was a horse. Like, Babe Ruth. But like, you watch Lou Gehrig, like his shoulders and how broad he was. You just look at his hands. He looks like just a man.
I'm just glad that he didn't get the nickname Iron Horse when he was in the showers with the guys after the game. That makes me happy.
He was Iron Horse because he was a big boy. Well, maybe he got this one from being in the showers. Biscuit Pants.
Biscuit Pants. Well, maybe that's why he's the horse too. You know,
Will Rupin, and then the Crown Prince of SWAT. Or Columbia. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he was from Columbia University, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Who's your number 3, David?
My number 3, I'm going to go Joltin Joe DiMaggio.
Joltin Joe DiMaggio, the love of every single Italian that ever lived in New York, the love of the great Marilyn Monroe, the man with the record for the most consecutive games with a hit. One short of 57, where he could have gotten a lot of money from the Heinz people. But
right, that would have been pretty cool.
I think there was actually like a deal that was.
Was there really?
Yeah, I'm not 100% positive on that. But yeah, Joe DiMaggio, just Joltin' Joe. What else you got to say? Great ball player.
Yeah, what are you gonna say about it? 3-time MVP winner, and all-star. All these guys at the Yankees, are just, the numbers are a little crazy. And he still, and this is the beautiful part about all these guys in this generation, he missed 3 season, literally his 28, 29, 30, which are well known to be your very best seasons of your baseball career to put in military service. And his numbers are legit regardless of all of that. His numbers are Hall of Fame worthy numbers regardless, but he would be on a tiny short list. Like, we consider him on a short list. He would actually statistically be on that short list if he had those 3 years. And this is crazy. I never thought this. 2,200 hits. 2,200 hits. He never had the 3. But it didn't matter. You just know how good he was.
You just knew how great he was.
MVP 8, MVP 2, MVP 6, 1, 3, 1, 7, 19, 1, 2, 12, 9. Only 4 seasons of his career, he didn't get MVP votes. 3 of them because he was overseas, and one of them his very last year, he still, he was 36 his last year. Again, that was back in the day without performance enhancing anything, even like weight rooms.
Yeah.
Where 36, he would have still been playing the next year.
All right, who's your final guy?
My final guy, James. These ones are tough, and we're gonna have a great conversation. I had to go to this guy because there's no doubt he is the greatest to ever do it, Mariano Rivera. He's the best of all time, and so you can't disregard that.
No, you can't. And I would have put him on my Mount Rushmore, but the Yankees are so tough, and there's some guys that we're going to talk about in a minute that I can make cases for over some other guys. But yeah, Mariano, the best closer in the history of baseball. There's no question about it. He did it with one freaking pitch. I know that's air quotes, not exactly true, but yeah, cutter a lot of times, did it, and was just dominant year after year. There was never a lull. He never had like 2 or 3 years where he was and regained his form. He was great from the minute he was in baseball to the very end. And if you ask me, could he have played another 3 years? Probably could have. I can't deny this guy anything.
Most saves of all time, the most games finished of all time, ERA plus, but greatest of all time, and playoffs. I mean, Jesus. Greatest playoff pitcher in history of Major League Baseball history, whatever, how many times I want to say it. 5-time relief pitcher of the year, 5-time World Series champion, 13 times All-Star. I mean, he had so many times where he almost won Cy Young awards, and he was MVP voting as a reliever, as a closer, which is insane. And greatest reliever of all time. So there might be better players that have actually play on the field every single day, but when you're the best to ever do what you did, you can't.
It's like me in softball.
If you don't like it, don't have the position.
All right, who's your first man out?
First man out. This is where it got tough. I had to go with your god, Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle, the Mick, number 7, the man who would drink all night and still be one of the most dominating hitters of all time, and do it without apologizing. I love this man.
3-time MVP award winner. I mean, 20-time All-Star, Triple Crown, 7 World Series titles. There's nothing I can't say that he didn't do. That it was just, it was incredible. I kind of, first man out for the Yankees would be first man up for almost everybody.
Yeah. He'd be the best player in most franchises. Typically, we have the guy who's on the team who could make the Mount Rushmore. I don't think there's anybody in the history or the future of baseball who can crack that Mount Rushmore. You could say Aaron Judge is a guy on the team right now that could make it, but how? How is it possible? What would he have to do to make this Mount Rushmore? Because I don't think it's possible.
Continue what he's doing, just straight pace.
How long?
The thing, you have to do it 3 times, 3 more times on this pace, and then I would say with this year, then 2 more years of almost adequate. I'm not expecting 70 home runs every year. I'm not expecting 58, 62 every year. But if he's in the mid 40s range for 2 more years after this year, and then has that really good positive decline,
who's he knocking off? Who's he knocking off? You tell me that he can do it. And yes, he can do what he said. But how is he knocking anybody off? Who's he taking off the list?
To me, it would probably be maybe Lou Gehrig.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay. So you say that he can knock off Lou Gehrig, and I'm going to tell you that
he's already a 2-time MVP winner, Rookie of the Year. The numbers are going to blow some guys away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, there's just, God, why do you say that, James? Why do you argue with me like this?
Because there's a guy that's hasn't been mentioned that could be that is already better than Judge. It's not even possible. And let me bring you to Mr. Yogi Berra, the man who had 10 World Series, 3 MVPs, 18 All-Star appearances, and is in the Hall of Fame. And he didn't crack your list. Are you telling me that Aaron Judge is going to beat out Yogi Berra?
So
10 World Series.
Dude, I mean, that's the number you're never going to be able to beat. Nobody will ever be able to beat that again in baseball history. From a numbers perspective, there are things that you're going to be able to beat him. They're just he already has a higher batting average. OPS isn't even going to be close. Home runs, he is 28 away from beating him. RBIs, yes, he's just going to have to continue his career and he'll beat him. You're not going to be able to be Yogi Berra. There's no way anybody will ever be Yogi Berra again. But
how about
from an all-star standpoint, he's going to be close. From an MVP standpoint, he's going to win an MVP probably this year. He's going to tie him.
Okay. So the thing. But here's the thing. You look at Yogi Berra. Not only did he get MVPs, but look at how many MVP votes he got. In 50, MVP 3, then MVP 1, MVP 4, MVP 2, MVP 1, MVP 1, MVP 2. What?
Oh, absolutely. And that's looking at, and a lot of the reasons why he looked at it is because of how he was a captain of that team, how he led the team, not necessarily his numbers and which were by no means to shy away from, but those are a Jeter type of number. That's why he's MVP so high all those times, because you kept looking at him going, he's the leader of the best team, not necessarily the best player on the best team. He's the leader of the best team, and he earned that respect behind that. And
all I'm saying is if you play 19 years and you're a catcher for most of them,
I'm not even disregarding nothing else. I mean, Whitey Ford didn't even get mentioned. The Yankees' best pitcher of all time doesn't even get mentioned.
We haven't even said Derek Jeter's name.
Jeter. That's the thing too. And again, I look at Jeter and Yogi in the same kind of sentence and same breath. The leaders. They were captains. They were leaders. But man for man against the league, you might have taken other players at the time of almost their whole career. There almost was somebody every single day Derek Jeter stepped on the field better than Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
In the same position. You take him because he's your leader. Yogi, every day there was probably a guy better than him at catcher across the American League. It's just he brought so many more intangibles that you can't even compete with. And that's why I love this guy. That's why we earned the respect. And they were amazing on the field. And they were always like in the top 3. But every day, like A-Rod, number for numbers, A-Rod's better across the board. Yeah, I would take A-Rod, but if I could have A-Rod with Jeter's mentality, I mean, come on, you're the greatest player of all time.
Well, I hope that everybody that's stuck around for the end of this show to get to the Mount Rushmore is going to comment and tell us who they think the Yankees Mount Rushmore is, because I think this is one of the most fascinating conversations that you can have in all of sports. Way more important than whether or not Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame is who should be on the Mount Rushmore of the Yankees, because you need to make another freaking mountain for this team and carve another 4 in. And, oh, by the way, we didn't even happen to mention some of the guys that were part of that organization that would be shoe-ins on other teams. Like we talked about, Jesus Christ, Dodgers manager a couple of weeks ago.
Tommy?
Tommy La Russa. Tommy La Russa. Jesus, I took Tony La Russa.
Whole couple together.
Threw them together. We're talking about Tommy Lasorda. How about Big George?
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Again, but like not on the field. But I would say Torrey. You know,
Joe Torre, Ralph
Torrey,
Houk,
I'd have a conversation about that.
Casey Stengel.
Casey Stengel, without a doubt, conversation that he would be on some other people's list. Andy Pettit, it gets really interesting stuff. A-Rod, for the amount of time he was there, you know, Willie Randolph was amazing while he was there. There's so many guys you get down that list. So you know, we talked about Whitey Ford. These guys didn't make the Yankees list. I mean, Bernie, Guidry. I mean, Thurman Munson. There's guys here. Robinson Cano, what he did as a Yankee was amazing. Robinson Cano, if he would have continued his career, never left, it'd be borderline like next man out type of thing. He had some seasons there where he did amazing things.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, next week when we go to the Mets, do we put Yogi on as a Met since he was the manager player? Like, he just needs to get some love somewhere. Like, the fact that he's not on a Mount Rushmore is terrible. But yeah, guys, if you want to see a war, tune in next week when we talk about the New York Metropolitans and who's in there. David and I are going to argue quite a bit about this one.
I didn't even think we'd even argue. I didn't think we would even have a conversation. I thought you would agree straight up with me.
No, I never agree straight up with you. It's very rare that actually happens.
All right.
So,
I like it.
Make sure you guys tune in next week. I had a lot of fun this week. We talked about everything that's going on in baseball. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make a comment, tell your friends. They might actually like our shtick. Talk to you soon, guys.